Alright guys, today I want to have one last conversation about The Last of Us Part 2 and everything, I guess, going on with it. I want to let you know right up front, there's not going to be any spoilers in this video. I'm not going to be talking about them, so you don't have to worry about that if you are somebody who has somehow still not been spoiled, but maybe avoid the comment section because there's probably going to be some spoilers down there. I want to talk about this, and I say like one last time. I don't literally mean like this is the last time I'm ever going to talk about it. It's just, tomorrow is the start of a new month, May, and I feel like this is a really huge thing that has happened. I feel like it's going to have huge repercussive effects to Naughty Dog as a development studio, obviously, but certainly Sony as well and the PlayStation brand. And I want to talk a little bit more about that because I haven't talked much about it in my past two videos. My past two videos were mainly me just kind of expressing my shock based off of everything I've learned and everything I've seen and have been exposed to. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm glad to see that the majority of people who've been watching my videos anyway seem to agree with my shock. Like, they don't think it's unjustified, and it just feels good to know that I'm not the only one who has been exposed to this that is just completely taken aback and feels completely deflated. That's not to say that I'm happy about the situation, because I'm not, but I can take a little bit of solace in that fact. And so there's just a few things I kind of want to run down in this video and discuss with you guys, because going into May, I'm really hoping that the conversation changes. I obviously am a big PlayStation fan. I run a PlayStation-centric YouTube channel. However, I do not work for Sony. I do not work for PlayStation, and I certainly don't work for Naughty Dog. And I refuse to be pressured into supporting a product or something that's coming out of PlayStation or one of their studios that I just simply don't believe in, or I'm not excited for, or I have strong opinions on. I'm not going to fake being excited for it or force myself to support it because I want to believe that my audience might get upset. That's just not who I am as a person. I think anybody who's been following this channel for a while now, you should know that. Are there times where I definitely hype some things up? Yeah, but the reason why I do that is because it stems from a general excitement. Are there times where I've been disappointed and let down? Of course, but this is like a new level that I've never really experienced before, and it's just totally shocking because it's with something that it's the last thing in the world. Like, I knew that there was going to potentially be some controversy with this game. However, I absolutely did not imagine it would be to this level and involve these types of this subject matter, I guess you could say. Although there's some people who will argue that how could you not see this coming, but to be honest, I think a lot of people understand what I mean by that and where I'm coming from. It's just a lot. And so, before I talk about Naughty Dog and Sony and the repercussive effects, a lot of people are still wondering, mainly because I've kind of made it seem iffy. I mean, yesterday I talked about how I'm going to play this game and I'm going to do it. The number one driving force is because I feel it's an obligation for my audience, and I feel like you guys deserve it, but I kind of want to give you a little bit of an update on that. I realize that that's not fair to me, and that's certainly not fair to you guys, because that's going against what I believe, and what I believe is I'm not going to force myself to do something because it's the expectation of my audience, because the truth is I know what the expectation of everybody watching this, I know what your expectation is. And that bare minimum expectation is honesty and transparency. And if I'm not providing that, then I'm not meeting that bare minimum expectation. And so I'm going to let you know that I have canceled my my collector's edition pre-order of The Last of Us Part 2. Not out of spite or anything like that. It's not this. I mean, in a way it is to send a message, but it's simply because I'm on the fence right now as to whether or not I want to actually pay money to support this product due to everything I've learned and everything that's surrounding it, even the nature of how these leaks came out from a developer who's been mistreated apparently. And I've talked about this in the past, and I guess I just didn't really believe it was that bad. And in my opinion, it's become pretty obvious that it's that bad. It's really bad. There's some serious problems over there at Naughty Dog, and I feel bad for taking the stance I did because it was from a place of ignorance, and I just didn't want to believe it. It was almost like a place of denial at first. But I think it's become clear that things are not very good, and there needs to be some serious changes and some serious, again, this, I'm going into the repercussive effects here, but because I'm on the fence as to whether or not I want to give my money to this product to show support, first of all, I really feel like I don't want to, and I'm certainly not going to give a large amount of money for a collector's edition. The driving force for me behind getting that collector's edition was the Ellie statue. I thought it was cool, but after learning what I've learned, that is now meaningless to me, and I'm certainly not going to pay a large fee for it. Now, as to whether or not I'm going to just buy the regular version of the game, pre-order it, I'm not pre-ordering it. And to be 100% honest with you guys, I am now taking a wait-and-see approach. I'm saying this because there are aspects to The Last of Us Part 2 that I do feel are, just talking about as a fan of video games and video games alone, there are things here that I think are great, such as what the environmental artists have done, the level designers, the people who create the actual gameplay mechanics and refine the animations, all these things that when you look at this game, graphically speaking as well, they look phenomenal. And this is still, in my opinion, the largest appeal of the game, even for those who know about the leaks and are maybe not too happy with them, because I've seen a lot of people say this and express this sentiment where, yeah, they're not happy about the leaks, yeah, they're really upset about the actual story and the way it plays out, but they also can't help but feel that they want to see how the game plays. And for me, it's a tough one, because I'm sure even developers who work at Naughty Dog or who have worked on this game, they probably feel the same way, where it's like they put so much effort into it, they've refined it so much, and they've done something that does look really, really great and is very impressive. They probably want people to experience it, but knowing that there's a large chunk of developers apparently who actually left the studio mid-development because they just don't agree with not only the direction the story is taking, but the environment and the way people are treated if they disagree, it's sad that this is the situation. And so my wait and see approach is basically I'm going to wait for the game to drop. When it does, I'm going to be following it very closely. I'm going to be paying attention. To be honest, I'm not going to be paying so much attention to reviews this time around because I don't know what to expect from them. This is going to be a very strange situation the way it all plays out. I don't know what to expect from reviewers. What I do know is that Metacritic score and review scores at this point in time mean nothing to me. All that matters is I need to see for myself, there's a lot of people basically saying you're lacking the context, you're missing the context, you're missing all these things. So I'm going to wait and see for myself if I am in fact missing all of these crucial components that are suddenly going to change my mind on the game and make me realize I'm missing out on something that's actually really great here. So I will look into it myself when that day comes, and I certainly will have things to say. And if I feel as though that's actually the case, then maybe I'll actually play it. But I just need to be completely honest with my audience here and let you guys know what to expect. And I know that maybe some of you are upset at the idea of me deciding not to buy this game day one, or maybe not even at all. But again, I'm a human being. I have my own beliefs. I have my own opinions. And I'm not going to forsake those things and just throw those things away because I'm out of fear that, what does my audience expect? Because again, I think that anybody who is subscribed to my channel, the very least, the very bare minimum thing that anybody should be expecting is honesty and transparency. And if that honesty bothers you, then I don't know what else to tell you other than that, it is what it is. I'm just being honest. And so that's my little update there as to how I plan to approach the game. I as to how frequently I plan to talk about it on the channel, again, going into next month, I'm still very excited for the PlayStation 5, obviously. This whole Last of Us situation hasn't diminished my excitement for anything else PlayStation related. Although there is one caveat to that I do want to touch on before ending this video, but I just want to let you know that like my general excitement for PlayStation is still very high, especially with next generation on the horizon. PlayStation 5 excitement is still through the roof, and we're getting closer and closer, and this is why I want to shift the focus and just make this last video to let everybody know not only what to expect, but to give my kind of final thoughts as of right now on this whole situation with this game, because this is absolutely not how I was anticipating the build up to this game would be. It's extremely unfortunate for everybody, and the little caveat I was talking about is my concern with this whole thing is that this is not just a little problem, in my opinion. This is not like, oh, it's just a bad game, like it plays bad and they really messed up, or this isn't like a Crackdown 3 situation where it's like this is just not a good game and it's a low quality game. No, this is a very different situation where I have to imagine that over at Sony, I'm just assuming, and I could be wrong, and I hope I'm not wrong, because if I am wrong, then that means there's a bigger problem bigger issue that's going to kind of pop up here in the future. But what I'm assuming and what I'm hoping is that Sony, the executives at Sony, are in full-blown panic mode and really, really mad at Naughty Dog right now, and mad at themselves for allowing Naughty Dog to, to kind of be, I'm all about creative freedom, but to give them so much creative freedom and just so much freedom in general where this situation was allowed to get to this point. There's no doubt that Sony is reacting to this as swiftly as they can by announcing the release date after just delaying it indefinitely, because they know that the longer they don't, do something, the more potential there is to lose more and more sales. There's no doubt that Sony is losing sales here. Then they're losing money. Now, I know that there's going to be people who are going to highlight the fact that the game is still, #1 on Amazon, and it's still going to sell incredibly well. And you're right, it is still going to sell incredibly well. But I promise you the potential of how well it could have sold, and I could be wrong by about this. I just don't think I'm going to be. The potential has been greatly diminished because of this. And in my opinion, sales also don't matter, at least not in the way you're thinking. Sales matter to me, where I'm not saying I want to see this game fail, but I definitely don't want Sony to walk away from what happens next thinking that this is good and this is okay and that we can continue to do this. That is the absolute last thing I want to see happen. And so I don't want to be as egregious to say I want to see this game completely fail and I want to see people lose their jobs or anything like that. I mean, I'm just going to be brutally honest right now. I would be shocked, genuinely shocked, if this narrative, because I've seen some people say that once this game drops, like the whole thing's going to be a 180. Like, people are going to be talking about this game and praising it, and it's going to be like all of this is swept under the rug and forgotten. I would be genuinely shocked if that was the case. I would be literally shocked. I feel as though it's only going to get worse, and I don't know what Sony's going to do to the buildup of this game. I will tell you this. If you see them become more and more quiet when it comes to The Last of Us Part 2, and the marketing is like not there, or really not that much, that tells you that Sony is, and this is what I'm hoping for, that Sony is aware of the backlash, and they are more importantly aware that it's a bad thing. And the reason why people say don't buy this game, don't support it, is because this is the language that these companies speak. They speak the language of money. And if you're willing to give them their money, your money, even after all of this is happening, then you are telling them that you can basically put out a product that upsets a lot of people, that puts a lot of people off, that basically destroys, in my opinion, a fan base overnight, and you'll still make lots of money, right? Like, that's what you're saying to them. And this is why I'm making the decision where I'm taking a wait and see approach. They're definitely just not going to get my money day one. And that's just me making my own personal little stand there, based off of my own beliefs. But I don't expect everybody else to do that, but I just hope that there are repercussive effects to this, simply because I don't want to see something like this ever happen again. As a PlayStation fan, as somebody who has played a lot of the games and experienced a lot of the content that comes out of Sony's first-party studios and their partners, I think almost all of it and most of it has been fantastic. It's not all perfect, obviously, and The Last of Us Part 2 is a perfect example of that, in my opinion. But I just don't want to see this have a wide-reaching effect, in the sense that everything's just okay, because everything's not. There's clearly serious issues at Naughty Dog. There's clearly issues not only in the way the studio is run, but there's issues on just a more ideological level, where they're like, what you look at what The Last of Us 1 was, and you look at what The Last of Us 2 apparently is, and it's just like, things need to change, please. Like, don't make sure like that's not what happens to all of your other studios and all of your other IPs, because that's my fear, that ripple effect. And so I have to imagine Sony is look, I know this video is going on long, but again, I just had to say these things because I don't know if I'm going to be talking about the stuff on the upcoming podcast, because there's going to be a live chat, and I know it's probably inevitable, but I don't want to see people straight up spoiling in the live chat and basically ruining the podcast experience for anybody who doesn't want to be spoiled by it. People shouldn't have to fear, just listening to me talk about PlayStation related stuff, that everything's going to get spoiled in real time if they're watching it live through like super chats or anything. So I don't know if I'm going to be talking about this. That's why I'm talking about it now. And I am just so concerned about what's going to happen. And I think back to the end of 2019 when we heard all of this internal strife was going on with Sony, and there were executives like Sean Layden and others that were just like abruptly leaving and departing, and we're getting the rumors coming out that there was a power struggle and one side won and the other didn't. And I'm looking at the situation now and I'm like wondering, like, did any of this have anything to do with that? And if so, which side won that power struggle, right? Like, who gave the green light to Naughty Dog to say, oh, yeah, this is a great story, do it, like, this is going to be amazing. Who gave that green light, and are they the ones running Sony right now? Because if so, that's concerning to me, because what Sony should have realized is this is way too far out there. Reel it in, change some things. Now, maybe they did realize that, but by the time they realized it was too late. They put too much money into the development of this game, and they realized that they have no choice. Like, they either cancel the game, or you're just going to have to go through with this and let Naughty Dog go through with it. Maybe that's what they decided. We just have to let Naughty Dog go through with it, even though we know that it's going to create a lot of backlash. And I just hope that's the case. I hope it wasn't the wrong side won that battle. If you understand what I'm hinting at here, and basically now going forward, we can kind of expect this ripple effect with all of Sony Studios and all of Sony's IP, and maybe that's just a doom and gloom outlook, but this is why I'm taking this situation so seriously, why I'm so upset about it, why many others are, and why it's genuinely concerning about not just the future of Naughty Dog, but potentially even PlayStation. And there's people, unfortunately, who think that just because I'm a PlayStation fan, because I run a PlayStation-centric channel, that I'm just going to blindly support every product that comes out of their first-party studios or their partners, and that's just not going to happen. That's not the case. And if you're somebody who was anticipating that or expecting that, and that was your expectation, well, not only is that that's a disingenuous expectation, but that would also be a very disingenuous thing for me to do. So hopefully going forward not to expect that. Again, that doesn't mean going forward I'm going to trash PlayStation. No, not at all. I'm still very excited, just as I'm excited for a lot of things in the gaming world right now. But this is just one thing that, in my opinion, is so bad, it's so detrimental, and it's so wide-reaching that I I'm just very curious to see how it all plays out, and I hope that I just hope that this is kind of over and done with quickly. And I know that sounds a little bit depressing, but I really hope it is. And I hope Sony realizes that there's a reason why there's a lot of backlash right now. And that backlash is, in my honest opinion, very justified. Very justified. And it will just become even more justifiable once the game's actually out. One last final thing I have to say here, because I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in this video, where I'm much more excited for Ghost of Tsushima now. I also have to wonder if Sony was aware of this, again, and they kind of knew that, like, we have to put this game out. We can't really make dramatic changes to it. It's too late. We can't cancel it, obviously. We have to put it out there. I wonder if this is why Ghost of Tsushima is coming out so soon after. I mean, you're talking like 3 weeks, which is no breathing room for The Last of Us Part 2, and it's maybe coming out so much later, well, obviously because of everything that's been going on in the world, but you know, so close to the PlayStation 5. Maybe Sony did this strategically because they knew the backlash was coming. They knew that this was going to be a nightmare for them, and this is their way to kind of look ahead and mitigate the potential damage that could be done by releasing another high-profile AAA game like almost immediately after, at around the same time that they're going to be talking about PlayStation 5 stuff. This tells me, and I hope I'm right, this tells me that Sony is aware of the problem with this game, fundamentally speaking. They understand that this was a mistake, but they have to go through with it, and that going forward, they're going to make sure that things over there at Naughty Dog change significantly, and that going forward, this mistake is not made again on future IP that is cherished greatly by not only them, but especially the community that prop that IP up so high. So that's going to do it for the video, guys. I apologize, 2 really long videos in the course of 48 hours, but again, we're going into a new month starting tomorrow, and I want to shift gears here a little bit. I don't want to keep talking about this, but I have to be honest with you guys and give my final opinion on this and let you know the deal. So let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. I'm going to be very interested to see what you guys have to say. Be sure to leave the video a like if you did enjoy it, or if you agree with what I have to say. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.